From the first college football game in 1869 until 1910, college football resembled a brawl more than anything that looks like what we know as football today. That changed in 1910 when mass play was eliminated by rule and the forward pass was emphasized in order to eliminate deaths and serious injuries and bring forth a new exciting game. 1911 saw no changes to the rules. The Rules Committee felt that they had made enough changes in 1910 and that those changes needed to take some time to work themselves out. It is apparent from looking through the newspapers of 1911 that everyone is confused about the rules changes of 1910, as they are so radically different than previous football. The fans don't understand them, the officials struggle, and the coaches have a hard time with changing their offense. They're all accustomed to mass play, where the ball carrier runs directly into the defensive line, surrounded by blockers, some of whom have interlocked their arms, and some of whom are pushing and pulling the ball carriers along. The forward pass is more useful to the offense because the rules changes included an incomplete pass being a dead ball instead of a turnover, but the defense still has the advantage. Teams can throw passes as they move down the field, but they cannot throw a pass in the end zone. First, end zones don't exist yet, and if the ball crosses the goal line in the air from a pass, it automatically becomes a touchback. When the offense approaches the goal line, the opposing defense simply lines up heavy against the run, and the offense is halted. By the end of 1911, there have been too many scoreless ties, particularly in high-profile games. Yale and Harvard had tied at 0 in both 1910 and 1911. Nobody likes a scoreless tie. Americans love scoring. Something had to be done to strengthen the offense. And scoring. The rules-making process in 1912 wasn't as contentious as it was in 1910. In 1910, rules makers politicked in factions, those representing mass play and those wanting to eliminate it. There was an attempt to outlaw the forward pass, but it was stymied, thwarted even, as most of the rules makers realized the forward pass was here to stay. A number of the rules makers felt that a simplified approach to the forward pass would open up the game further and make scoring easier. Because of that, several changes were made in 1912. The rules changes and their impact is as follows. The ball could be thrown across the goal line to score a touchdown. As stated earlier, previously, if the ball crossed the line in the air, it was a touchback. Now teams could throw the ball across the goal line willy-nilly. Walter Camp, of all people, suggested that the previous limitation created in 1910 of limiting the pass to 20 yards be eliminated. The football could be legally thrown as far as a man could throw it. Camp, the father of American football, hated the forward pass. He had opposed the forward pass throughout his career, but he no longer represented Yale and therefore no longer had to protect their interest and was interested in furthering the game. He made another huge suggestion in altering the course of its history. The field of play was reduced from 110 yards to 100 yards, and an end zone was created so they could throw the ball into the end zone. How American is that? Therefore, teams could throw the ball across the goal line into the end zone for a touchdown. The playing field was shortened to accommodate those teams with stadiums without requiring redesign. The kickoff was moved to the kicker's 40-yard line. Previously, the ball was kicked from the center of the field. Moving it back meant the offense had less chance of starting near their own goal line. There were touchbacks, and they changed the rules. After a touchback, the ball is to be put in play from the 20-yard instead of the 25-yard line. The definition of a goal from the field, or a field goal, eliminates a goal in which the ball touches the ground and bounces over the crossbar. Basically, you couldn't bounce a field goal through the uprights. That was not in the rules before, and games were won because of it, where the ball actually bounced through the uprights, and it would certainly be interesting if we could do that today. And another huge rule change, a fourth down to gain 10 yards. The previous rule allowed for only 3 downs to get 10 yards. Coaches felt that with an extra down, they would have an easier time and more emphasis on running the football since they only had to gain 2.5 yards per carry to get a first down and therefore keep possession of the football. This rule went a long way towards strengthening the offense. The touchdown went from 5 points to 6, and the extra point became an extra point, just 1 point. This seems like a slight change, but it was very important because it encouraged teams to score touchdowns. Previously, a team could be tied if their opponent elected to kick field goals rather than score a touchdown. Now, a touchdown and an extra point equals 7 points, which is more than 2 field goals. And it pushed the teams to score touchdowns and get more scoring, which we know Americans love scoring. The onside kick was eliminated. This isn't the onside kick we know today. The onside kick of that time was the weirdest football rule ever conceived, and it failed. The onside kick rule stated, a player of the kicking team becomes onside and may recover the ball as soon as it strikes the ground. This is a play from scrimmage where a player could kick the ball like a punt, and if it hit the ground, it was immediately a free ball that anyone could recover. It wasn't used very much because it wasn't predictable. So they eliminated it. Imagine if this rule were still around today. Iowa would win every national championship ever. In another huge change, the Rules Committee established the size of the football. It made the ball smaller and more oblong than spherical. And the rule states it shall be tightly inflated, circumference, long axis from 28 inches to 28.5 inches, short axis 22.5 inches to 23 inches, weight from 14 to 15 ounces. Now, strangely enough, before this rule declaring the actual dimensions, the game could have been played with a ball the size of a house. As the rule only specified, the football used shall be made of leather, enclosing an inflated rubber bladder. The ball shall have the shape of a prolate spheroid. The 1912 rules changes represent the last major changes in American football. There will certainly be different rules created throughout the years, but the game has reached its form as we know it today. It's taken 43 years since 1869, the first game that was played between Princeton and Rutgers, to get to this point. Over that period, the concept of possession, the systems of downs separated American football from rugby. From there, the game saw amazing plays such as the flying wedge and the invention of the forward pass. There were multitudes of deaths and serious injuries because of the mass play, and the sport has endured multiple crises where it looked like the game might end, its literal existence outlawed. It obviously survived those trials to become the game that we love today. There are a lot more stories to tell, and I plan on doing so in this channel, but this is the first set of videos that takes an in-depth look at how American football began and evolved. I hope you like them, and I hope you subscribed and stay tuned for more. Please share with your friends, because we could use the growth. This is John Johnston with Hardcore College Football History. Thank you.